So let's just do a quick run through of the transverse movement or the cross motion for the foot release. So doing 3 lines, 3 movements across, heel stays on the ground, I'll pivot outwards, I've got the weight going into that foot, let it off, regroup, reposition, 2 and 3, and I go a little bit more, going more towards the center of the foot now. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going more towards the front of the foot. 1, 2, and 3, and change side. 1, 2, 3. So when it comes to activating muscles, getting the body more aware and reconnecting to parts that's kind of lost connection with, working on the sensory system first. So sensory is like the input coming from the outside of your body, from the limbs and things, to the brain. Motor then is power from the brain and the spinal cord out to power something. So for you to get more connection, it needs to have more sensation first, and more sensation coming through the body up to the brain. Then the brain can find the muscle and it can power it more. 2 and 3. So that took about a minute to do. Let's do some warm-ups. So feet are together. We're bending the knees back and forward, and I'm keeping a heavy heel. So as I do this, I've got heavy heel. As I come forward, the pressure comes more to the front, to this row of bones here, but I still have a heavier heel. So I feel pressure change, it goes more to the front, then back towards the heel, but I'm keeping a heavy heel even when the pressure moves forward. So I'm not letting the heel weight lift off at all. This allows the pronation of the heel to occur, and also pronation through the midfoot to also be there too, and the right movement to happen in the knee joints too. So the knee joint's not just a forward and back moving joint or hinge joint like it's normally said, it's got a rotational component. So how I'm moving here, that's all from the knee. So when we do bend and straighten of the leg, there's a rotation that's occurring, and that links with the pronation and supination of the feet here. So this one exercise looks like the most simple looking thing. It's very, very useful to walking patterns, Tai Chi patterns, and I do this every day for the last probably 27 years. So as you get more warmed up, you can find you can sink a bit more, but you still keep that heavy heel. Then circle. So I'm keeping the pressure in the bottom of the feet. I'm not peeling the feet off at all the ground. And it's just small circles, it's not massive. It's like my feet are melted plastic and they stay stuck to the ground. The other way. The leg has a spiral motion, it does when it moves. So this is just working with that spiral motion. And Tai Chi movements based off circles and spirals. Come up. So just come up on your ball of the foot, high as you can go. So it'll just stretch the big toe joint here. For some people this will be hard to do, won't be much motion, could even be painful. So I don't want you to push into pain at all. And the same with this one. So ideally you can make a straight line here. Circle the hips, just nice and loose, like you're inside a cylinder. You've got to clean the inside of the cylinder. We're mobilising hip joints, SIJ, that's the back of the pelvis, the lower back, even the upper neck gets mobilised because the head stays in the centre. So there's mobilisation that happens up that level too. And again, such a simple looking exercise can really move a lot of joints. The other way. Okay, so this is Tai Chi Dragon walking, or Dragon Stepping. So we use the universal jumjong posture to hold the tree when we do the Tai Chi Dragon Stepping. So I've got my feet shoulder width, sink into the kwa like usual, and then I lift the arms. So I don't lift from here, I lift as if I'm being pulled up by the wrist here. So I lift up, very relaxed, and then as I get to the chest I push outwards, so like I'm pushing out with the edge of my wrist here. I push outwards until I feel a little bit of a stretch between my shoulder blades, so it starts to stretch around the shoulder blades. So if I just go to here, I don't get any stretch in my shoulder blades, between my shoulder blades. It feels like my arms are just hanging in space. Then when I push out a bit further, starting to stretch now, so there's like a rounding coming through. And if I go too far, it's like I've gone beyond the point. I can still feel the rounding, but I'm going into like a position where I've got to hold more tension to hold the position, okay? So when I get to the point, it feels like, if making more obvious, that my back sits back that way while the hand moves forward. So it looks like that kind of thing, like there's this rounding here. So I don't need to make it that obvious, but there's this sense of stretch, a relaxation through here. And it's just like you've got an in-breath, and on the out-breath you've gone, ah. So it helps get that roundness in the back, that little bit of roundness. So I've got that stretch. So that's the position we hold in. So it's like I've got a big balloon here, or a big bubble. The balloon wants to rise upwards. My arms help it stay sunk. And the balloon also helps my arms to stay buoyant, so I can sort of rest my arms on something. So that imagery is quite useful. That concept is useful, to use less force in the arms to hold the shape. So it's about a hand between, or the length of your hand even, like this way, between. You feel what feels best. Some people feel better out here, others a bit closer feels better. So it helps a better connection with the ribs. The width of your hands helps connect ribs in a different way, and also get more stretch going through the back, more rounding through the back. So what it feels like, a way you can do to get the feeling of it, to get the sensory feeling of it before you, as you're learning that kind of stretch, that kind of connection we're making here, because we're really connecting the arms to the spine. That's what it's doing. And then when we do the stepping, we're connecting all that with movement too. You can use a towel or use one of the power bands. So if I use this power band here, I'm just grabbing around I'll just grab onto it actually on the edge. I put that around my back to the level of my shoulder blades. And then I let the arms come forward in this rounded motion. It feels like my back really wants to round out here. So I sit in the position, arms go forward, and there's this sense of the back sitting back, and the band gives me a sense of it's sensation between the shoulder blades, so that there's like a power band through the whole bit, through the arms and the back. So that's the one way you can sort of get a sense of it here. So the body's connecting here. I'm not staying flat with my back and then pushing with the arms. This is just all my tricep and delt now. As soon as I relax here, like I've gone, it connects into the back, connects into the dantian, into the feet. Now when I move, whole body's moving as a piece. So I can try that with the power band, or a TheraBand you could use. You could use a leather belt if it's long enough. Or if you want to use a towel, I'm just grabbing onto it, putting that around your back, and I'm just pushing forward a little bit. There's less stretch, of course, with the towel. Pushing forward a little bit with the arms, but it gives me a sense of like there's a wrapping around my back. So there's that roundedness there. So I can give you that sense, that tactile sense. Try it now. So you sink into your legs, arms lift up, shoulders stay relaxed. And I want you to actually breathe out. As the arms come out, there can be more of a tactile sense and connection with the back. So that's setting up the arms. Okay. So there's a really good Qigong posture. This Qigong posture brings energy to the feet, to the head, to the arms, and it allows the ribs to orient a certain way in the central column of the body to orient, so the Qi naturally wants to descend to the dantian here. And the neurology of the brain really wants to connect into the feet and to this area too. So every part of the body is linked with every other part. So it's not pieces moving individually. This one posture looks like it's static. When I stand here, I've been doing this for a long time, I feel my whole body, everything linked. Everything's connected already, not even moving, but everything's linked. So when I move, the linkage stays there. So we're going to do the posture with the stepping now. So we sink into the posture, into the kwa, lifting up from the wrist, shoulders relaxed as your arms come out. Get that stretch, get that awareness, that position here. So I've got that connection. Then imagining a bowl of water on your head. So that's really important, a bowl of water on your head. So it'll help keep your spine straight. The chin's in a little bit. So if you had a bowl of water in your head, you did this, it wouldn't feel right. So the chin has to be in a little bit, but not excessive. So there we've got that position. The neck's still relaxed. Then I'm going to rise up here. I'm just going to start walking. So just your normal walking step, however you walk. So I want you to feel two things here. First one is that your arms can stay relaxed, stay connected to your back. So while we walk. So we're not tensing up the body. And the second thing I want you to be aware of is the central longitudinal axis. So how's that? That's formed is pretty much what we've just done. So the head is over the shoulders and the chest. Chest is over the abdomen, abdomen's over the pelvis, and it's essentially sitting between the feet. So there's a central axis through the body. It's not a straight spine. It's all the zones, it's zone stacking it's called. So the zones are all stacked over the top of each other, as opposed to being something like this, or something like that, or something like this, where there's no central axis. We want this central axis to form here. And it's done by having the bowl of water on your head, or the idea of a balloon drawing you up. So everything has that sense of lift. And then from this point downwards, everything sinks. Like the pelvis is heavy like an anvil, top of the head light like a balloon drawing up. That'll help the axis to form. And then when we're walking here, normal walking is the foot over, if I make it more obvious, the head over foot. So step here, here. So the central axis is doing this kind of motion. And a lot of people walk, especially bodies that are natural, they're spring loaded. You watch some guys when they walk, they've got that bit of a swagger, this kind of thing. It's like they actually can spring off and punch really well. So what we want here is that the central axis stays in the middle. So as I'm stepping here, the central axis stays in the middle, and I'm aiming to avoid any kind of side motion, but there'll be less side to side, so less of this kind of movement here. So I want you to feel that. So the central axis through the body, the head staying still in the center, and the arms relaxed and connected. So we work with that. So just doing that in itself can become very meditative. As soon as there's a focus on the central axis in the body, and the body relaxing, your mind can drop into a more relaxed state, centered state. So it's very good, very peaceful, very zen-like. So the next part we add is just the breathing, and we're not doing anything special at all. Just the mouth is closed. So same as when we do the Fasangung or any of the Qigong, the tongue's on the roof of the mouth. So where you say le, like in French, L-E, le, where the tongue touches. So the acupuncture point behind the two top front teeth helps energetically enhance the flow of energy through the front and back of the body. And then therefore the entire energy field too. That's up. It also helps pressurize the breathing into the abdomen too. So the teeth aren't together, they're just relaxed. So the jaw can relax, but the lips are together. Lips together, tongue up, teeth unclipped, which means you can give a chance for this area to relax. Breathing in and out through the nose when your body wants to breathe. And then we've already got an upright spine. It's hard for your body to breathe properly if the diaphragm is compressed and slumped. So we already have this upright position, so it allows the diaphragm to do its thing, and the pelvic diaphragm down here to do its thing as well. So we've just got that happening at the moment. So we've got letting the breathing be natural, in and out through the nose, tongue up, lips closed. So we just focus on that now. The arms relaxed and the bowl of water on the head, okay? And another point we make here is that, so at the moment I want you walking like you normally do, so as normal as possible. However, some people have walks that the feet are very open, The feet open like this represents a pelvis that's really open in an externally rotated position, usually rocks forward. The breathing isn't as effective because of the position of the rib cage and the pelvis together. So this here can be a problem. I don't want you to walk in this position. So you gradually turn the feet in. So instead of every step being like that, you let it be a bit more in. Some people walk with their feet straight ahead. That's good to do. So if you're using that, keep going. And some people walk with the feet a little bit turned out. So that's I train myself to be in that position. So play with positioning of your feet, letting it be what it wants to be. But if it's too open, then start to bring it in until you at least got a little bit, maybe 10 degrees over time. I'm talking weeks, months. Get that inwards. Then it becomes part of your everyday life, because it actually affects all the joints through, pretty much all the joints through your body. If it's too open, it'll influence it too much. And then the other one is that some people can have one foot that's toed inwards or pigeon-toed, or both feet. So this represents a few different problems, but it's usually to do with what's happening in the pelvis, a locked position in the knees here too. So if you're someone who's walking with pigeon-toed or one pigeon toe, you're aiming to get that one to go straight, or both of them to go straight. So we'll do a couple of laps, just focusing on the feet as well as the stuff we've got going too, okay? And just close 3 times. Awareness in through your head, down to your feet. You might feel a lot of energy in your hands. It's a very good thing. And holding the palms dantian height, like you're holding a ball underwater, that buoyant sort of feeling. Letting the weight shift a little bit more to the front of the foot without losing the core. So when the weight shifts forward here, it helps the kidney energy to come upwards, or energy from the earth come up to meet the dantian. And then the rest of the position is energy downwards, focusing so it starts to go to the dantian here. So we've been doing the posture, we've got the breathing happening, just nice and relaxed, abdominal breathing, idea of the bowl of water on your head, and then we just got normal walking going with a different foot placement if you needed it. That's where we are at the moment. So there's some problems with normal walking. So that's why when the Tai Chi has a certain way of moving, because it actually can control some of the errors that's in walking, or the potential problems that go with walking. So one is this one, when you're forming the central axis, if you've got a wide base of support, so if you're stepping quite wide, see how the central axis, it'll just naturally be doing this kind of thing here. And also if I'm walking fast, so just normal walking fast, and I have to stop, there's this, I'm going to keep going, there's momentum. Walking is based off momentum. So when we walk, actually, a lot of people don't know this, when we walk, we don't actually push to walk, we start to fall. So when you start to walk, you start falling, and it's really walking to catch yourself. So you're catching your center all the time. When you're running, it's even more so. You let yourself fall, then you're trying to catch that fall all the time. That's how we normally walk. It's actually very energy efficient. So what it means is there's a momentum all the time. So if there was a hole there, or someone come in front of you, or you had to stop all of a sudden, you kind of can't. So what the Tai Chi has built within it is how to control those things. So when it comes to keeping a central axis with a wide base of support, so if all I can do is just walk on a narrow base of support, like almost like a tightrope kind of thing, what happens if I've got to step out here? My body's got to lean, it's got to do this kind of thing, which can be okay. If I've got to go backwards, the body will do some other motion here. But if I bend my knees here, so just like we do the Qigong, so I sit in the Kwa, got the motion here. Now if I step wide, see how my center of the central axis stays vertical? So it's moving side to side, but it's still vertical because it's actually coming from a good base in the qua here, so I can step any direction and quite fast. So the center line stays there, as opposed to something that needs to do this kind of leaning motion. Then when it comes to stepping, when I've got this control, so I can stop. So my leg is actually controlling my center of mass, controlling my power all the time. In Shingi, they call this chicken legs, and the idea being that when a rooster or a chicken, when it steps, it looks like it's stepped, but then they can lift this leg. So there's really one leg controlling both of them all the time. Then this one starts, and then this one can step. So even though it looks like I've stepped here, I haven't lost connection with that ground leg. So it means I have this ground connection going to this one, ground connection, which means that if I've contacted someone, in my classes I do this with people, get someone to be in this position, other person pushing on them just gently, and I get them to push like they're driving through the arms here, push with the leg, connect to this one, push with that leg, push to that leg. So you're actually pushing the person down the hall. So you have that connection of arms through the qua, through the foot. And that's essentially what we're doing here. Let's make feet shoulder width, sitting to the qua, let the arms come up. So this height we've sunk to, we'll keep this height. Then we just start stepping. So like you're walking, so the stepping is the same. So the stepping is the same as you're walking, same foot placement. The only difference is that we're keeping the same height. It's like the roof's come down low and we've got to just stay underneath the roof, not bump your head. So we keep that same height the whole time. So it means there's always a bend in the qua, a bend in the knees. The foot needs to roll, just like when you walk. You walk heel to toe, that way. The way you can think about it is like the bottom of a ball, round ball. So you land, then this part contact, that part contact. So there's a kind of like a roundness that comes. So heel, midfoot, arch, toe off, ball of the foot. So you're feeling this sense of round contact each time. So we're going to add that in as we sink. That's the height we train at. Shoulders relaxed, connect your back. Bowl of water on the head, mouth closed. Just nice easy breathing in out through the nose. Then we step. So we're just feeling that heel, bottom of the foot contact. So I'm not really doing anything different with my feet here. I'm just aware of it. I'm aware of this roll. Just got my brain, my awareness in the bottom of the foot as well. That's all I'm doing here. So we'll do some laps with some different focuses. So similar to what we did with the normal walking. So the first one, or the next one we're going to do, I just want you to focus on the arms staying connected to your spine. So there's that relaxation, not losing the shape. There's that connection with the spine, arms relaxed. So we do that. So we just sinking, I've got that connection there. And as I step, no different. Okay, next one, we're just aware of the vertical spine. So aware of the bowl of water on the head helps the spine stay vertical. So I've bent my knees, I'm not like this, so this is a leaning forward spine. This is a leaning back spine. This is probably the most common. People will go down, they'll start stepping and the body starts doing this. It's kind of trying to balance the arms, that kind of thing. So I sit in the qua here, vertical spine. And even if I was to step backwards, there's still that vertical axis through the body. So that's probably one of the most important things out of all this stepping, keeping that vertical axis, which means you can form the qua well and help it, let it make changes when you're doing the stepping. So let's do a few laps of that. Vertical spine. So one thing that this practice does, it does a lot of things, really important things for all the development of your Tai Chi, is it opens the Yung Chun point, which is the kidney 1 point. So that's the ball of my foot, so right here. So it can be acupressured, needled as well for that point to stimulate the kidney energy. In Tai Chi and Qigong, the individual acupuncture points, so when they say the Yung Chun point, they're actually referring to the ball of the foot, so the fascia to open. So we're already doing some exercises with the ball, opening the feet, that kind of thing is all part of opening the fascia. This exercise is a classic one, a traditional one for opening the ball of the foot. So you do a lot of this practice. I've spent years doing this for long periods of time when I practice, so at least 10 minutes each time I practiced, sometimes up to 30 minutes, with breaks of course. But it's a lot of time with the bent knees, training the legs, but getting the more pressure to go through the ball of the foot when you do that toe off part. So it opens up the Yung Chun point, makes the feet very healthy, brings the vital energy from the earth up into the body, and helps stimulate the kidney energy for just feeling great and healthy. So when we walk, there's a natural heel to toe action. So I land on the heel, goes through midfoot, coming through, this is called toe off, and then I'm into the next step. So in that process, what generally happens is that we land on the heel, on the more outer edge of the heel. So I'm landing more on the outer edge here. And then the force comes then across the sort of the outer edge of the foot, then crosses the mid, go to the knuckle of the big toe and through the big toe. So I land on the outer edge, more outer edge of the foot here, then it comes across, then comes up through here as I do the toe off. So that's a very normal way that the force actually moves. So all I want you to do now when you do your stepping is just notice what's happening with your feet. You can land central, so your heel might land on the very center and then do its own thing. It might go through both the tripods. It might do that. That's okay. But just notice what it's doing. What I want you to change only if when you land you feel like your foot's like this and it feels like it lands on the inner part of the heel, this part. There's biomechanics are totally wrong for that. So you'll have issues going on with your feet, your ankles, your knees, and probably your hips if you've got that kind of biomechanics going. So I want you to change that. Otherwise, let it do what it wants to do. So if it lands on the center of the heel, great, let it do it. If it lands on kind of the outer edge of the foot, let it do that too. So, but normally there's a roll. So outer edge of the heel, outer edge of the foot kind of, then comes across and then off with that toe. That's normal. Okay, so we're just noticing that this time. And at the end of each of these practice sessions, I want you to go lower, even if it's just an inch lower, half an inch lower. You're going a little bit lower to strengthen your whole body and open up the fascia. That you can aim for is that you get to a level where the thigh is about this level here. The thigh is about this level here. So it's not, often they say parallel to the floor. I don't see the need for that to be that like that. It can actually open up more injury risk. But about here, it's a good strength level for the thigh to even be that level there. And that's keeping the spine as vertical as you can. It will be a little bit of a lean forward when you do it, but it's quite vertical. So we'll just go down a little bit, and over the period of weeks, months, years, your legs get stronger as you get older. And that's not the usual case with people. People's legs get weak, they get very weak, it becomes a big problem later in life. Gradually sinking lower, very gradual. I'm just sinking a touch lower than what I was. And as I sink lower, I'm not losing any of the things we've been talking about. So I'm still relaxed in my body, no nasal breathing. And just getting up, letting your arms rest and just walk. So after do some heavier leg training where we're sinking a bit lower, the aim of all this training is to get fluid moving, get energy and fluid moving in your body. So after you do that, spend a minute or two or maybe longer just walking, letting your body move. Don't sit down. Sit down is like just letting everything become still again. Walk, let the body calm down a bit, and then we do the closing. And we can hold the chi towards the dantian or allow it to move into that direction. Close 3 times. Letting the weight come forward in the feet just a little bit more. So about 60% weight in the front of the feet towards the front. Dedicate the entire merit of this practice to the enlightenment of all beings in all places and all times. May this be a gift to the world and to you.